ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Ladies and Gentlemen podcast. And today we are going to be reviewing the book Their Eyes Are Watching God. Now, this is our first installment in our new series of book analysis.
We starting off with a banger.
Yeah, very interesting book.
Very.
So today we have a couple of questions for review and set a couple of ground rules. Each answer should be discussed for about 30 seconds
Should be,
before we
but
move on
probably
to the
won't.
next question. Yeah.
Probably go.
Probably gonna be a little long.
All right, so let's get this started. Question one: what was a quote or part of the book that stuck out to you the most?
I'll let you go first, Monte.
For me, the part of the book or quote that stuck out to me the most was when she compared her experiences to like a pear tree. So in the book,
Okay.
it talks about how she was innocent and her life was represented as like a pear tree, and there were fruits hanging down full of like life and just what I'm trying to say.
Okay, cool. Right.
And
Okay.
then as she goes on to like interact with these men, right, they begin to whittle. Like the bloom stops. The bloom ceases
Right.
to continue. Like it just quits. And I feel like that stuck out to me the most for the sole fact of, well, we are deeply rooted in the South, and
Yeah.
we take our we take our fruits and our trees very seriously. So I feel like that's a like I can't think of the word right now, but
more
it's like
okay, it's deeper.
it's a
even
deeper
with
meaning.
So that's like that's not even a double entendre. That's a triple entendre, really, because the tree compared it to like also to just the setting of the story. It do take place in the South. You can tell, like
Deep in the South.
deep
in the South,
deep in the
South
South.
Florida. So,
Let me see. The quotation that stood out to me. Hold on. It was the part where, and I'm a paraphrase, but I'm gonna be able to put the real quote on screen. But it's when the storm was coming towards them, and they said their eyes were watching God, and I like how she, obviously the author, Christian, and I feel like she kind of imbued that into the book a little bit by saying their eyes were watching God, by saying that this big disaster that's coming to hit the town, really, like they compared it to like how they were watching God, like this natural thing that was coming towards them, that this was like an act of God almost. So that was just a quote that stood out to me.
Yeah, the biggest quote to me was, like you said, I'm gonna paraphrase it because
We're gonna put it on the screen.
Yeah.
We're gonna put it on the screen,
But it was like false gods require wine and gifts,
Okay.
and real gods require blood. And this happened when between the conversation of with Janie and Miss Turner, and basically it alluded back to the beginning of the book where they were talking about how there's boats and like men are always on. It's like symbolism for men being on a boat,
Right.
and they can either sail to the shore and reach their goal where they want to,
Right,
and go
right,
through
right.
the hardships to do that, or keep on sailing and never reach it. Just sail all the way off to the horizon.
Okay.
And that basically what the quote meant was that they were talking about how Miss Turner idolized like the wrong things, that she
So
had
then-
false like ideals. She had the wrong ideals.
Let's be real. Miss Turner was one of the worst characters.
Yes. And
Yeah.
she had false ideals that she would never acquire, so she would never be able to reach the goals that she wanted to. But Janie put in the work, and she went through the hardships and trials and tribulations to get through her goals.
Oh,
So
there you
now, like real gods being like her goal, and like the dreams and wishes she aspires to have, she has the opportunity to reach those now.
Like that. We like that right there. We
Yeah.
like.
So question 3: compared to other books you've read, how does Their Eyes Are Watching God hold up?
Yeah, I can take this.
Right. Go ahead.
Alright, so compared to other books, this wasn't the most. It was a lot
Did they
more.
cook it again?
It was a lot more informational. I would say a lot more thought provoking,
Yeah.
and there was much more like character development.
Right. Give it its pros first, right?
Yeah,
Thought provoking,
informational character development. It made you like
It's very
just
insightful.
very insightful,
and that's better.
and it gave you like, and it allowed you to have like a vision of what life was back then.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. It,
for a
it
black
did. It
woman
did.
especially.
Even with the dialect.
Yeah.
Right, but see, how, like the comparison, what you was gonna say to your other book
I was
to
gonna
compare it
say,
to?
like it isn't the most like enticing book. I would say like you won't be on the edge of your seat like when you're reading this. It's more just like you sit there and you're just like your mind just starts running. That's really hard.
So are we gonna bring another book to kind of compare it to, or are we just saying compared to other books in general?
I have a book to like compare to this. So recently I had just finished this book by Tewwg called The Beautiful Struggle, and it's a memoir of the author's life growing up in Maryland as a young black man living with his stepbrother and his father. So his father is kind of like this. Let's just say he's a genius in a way. Like he's very informed with the problems in the black community, and he tries to educate his sons the best way he can. So by educating his sons, with the school he goes to, he's placed into this class with supposedly gifted kids. And in the school, there's kind of like these classes that go against each other and these like factions or whatever. But it really talks about his life growing up in Maryland and how certain stereotypes are placed on him because he's black. And
kind of like
Janine, where she, in this book, she's a woman. Yeah. And back then, women didn't have much of a say in anything, such as town hall meetings, or holding positions of powers. Similar to how Tewwg in the book isn't expected to be smart, or he's accused of crimes and such. But that's my perspective.
Was you gonna compare it to another book, or?
Oh, the only thing that I can think of to compare it to is, this isn't a book. This is actually
movie,
but a movie.
Oh, true story, right.
Hidden Figures, which was I don't know like if there's like a name for the story exactly.
It's called Hidden Figures, yeah. Or
that's the name of it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the name.
It was just about like how they both are about a woman empowerment in a way, just like reaching your goals.
And reaching that self-actualization, getting in touch with yourself.
Yeah, similar to how like Janine in the book, she wasn't expected to be able to do all these things, and like how the women in Hidden Figures, when they were placed in these higher status areas, they succeeded. They met the requirements and they succeeded the requirements. Now they are historically known for the rest of our lives that they are the ones that helped contribute to the very first moon landing.
I think this is a period piece Barbie right here.
Yeah.
This is a period piece Barbie. All right, let's get.
All right, on to question 4. Out of all the characters, who stuck out to you the most? What do you believe they represent in the story?
Well, who stuck out to me the most was T, just because he was the first one who really was letting Janine live.
Like actually be a person.
Be a person. Let her.
She wasn't no trophy wife. She wasn't no worker. She was an actual
love,
woman.
I feel like, what did he represent? I don't know. When I think about it, I know what Logan and Joe represent, but for T, maybe that was her like
liberation.
Liberation, maybe, liberation, or because I know for me, Joe represented like confinement, like like
I don't know what the opposite of confinement
is.
It's a word for that.
Right.
Yeah.
And Logan, he represented like, because you know how the grandma kept pushing her towards Logan, and it was like, this is just the right thing.
This is the right,
He's got
land,
he just got to do it. Like, there's a word for it. I just can't come up with it, but I feel like in the book he just maybe more so like he was first off. He was the first issue in the book. And he was like, I don't love him. Or something.
She didn't like him on the side of him. She was like, I knew I didn't love him.
So which character stood out to you the most, though?
For me personally,
no.
I'd say her grandma actually. Her grandma represents these like old set of values that were placed upon her back when slavery was still around in the time period. Her grandma didn't get a chance to experience growing up and leading a life with a husband and a child and taking care of the family and growing as one. She was forced to live with the dream, a foreign dream of what that could possibly be like, while watching her owners live out her fantasy. While she had to be in the field working day and night, and whatever children she did have, she could never have a bond with that child or even really be with her husband because they would be forced to work the whole time. So as she got older and slavery was abolished and Janine came around, she felt like that's the only way Janine could ever just thrive as a woman, by staying with Logan and just being a basic housewife. like just a worker in a way. Like you come home, you cook, you clean, you take care of the children if you have children, and that's all there really is to it. So I feel like her grandma is a stepping stone for Janine to overcome. That's what I
For
think.
sure.
Yeah.
I would just, if it was me.
Like the shackles holding her back that she has to break free from.
Yeah. I would say that stood out to me though.
Yeah, the carrot.
Stood out.
Yeah. I ain't
Maybe
gonna lie. You really think about it.
Maybe like I don't want to say
You're right, like-
T, but like because like
He did stand out.
yeah,
though.
he stood out.
And they had the most
'Cause
heartwarming
Yeah.
interaction.
He was the
He was the one.
difference. He was the difference in the book.
He was definitely him.
He was the difference.
Because by that time, Janine was already like, I don't need no man. I love myself.
Yeah.
And when T came around, it's like,
But and what do you feel like? You
Oh,
feel like he represents the same like as we were saying like
Yeah, he
liberation
almost
and
represents
change, maybe
like
acceptance.
like a I don't want to say angel. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, nah. Comparing him to
Like-
Angel crazy, but she said their eyes was watching
light
God.
So like
We can read,
it
right?
was like, it was like the light in Janine's life because like
Oh, okay, for sure.
every time like
She
she
about
was
to say her tunnel.
every time like she was with me, she just felt warm and everything, and like the sunlight, like it
Yeah,
gets you
bro. That was
warm, it
definitely-
gives you energy, and she always just felt better around him. So it's like that's like what he is, the light, the sun.
yeah. Like compared to like Joe, she described their interactions like just lonely. Like Joe put her in a position where she's just in a box to like look pretty. That's all. Like he didn't really
Not for
spend time
real
with
though,
her.
because I mean, also at the same time, he also just wanted to, keep her in a box and like just he was just so.
Like trophy wife. When
Cause he was like, bro, don't let your hair down. Nobody.
like keep your hair up,
And she
don't
listened,
wear
too.
nothing. When you in the shop,
You
when
gotta
someone
kind
say
of question
something,
her choice in minutes. But we get to the next question though. You really gotta think like.
It was really her grandma fault though, for real. Like,
yeah, she.
All right,
put
Logan.
these out.
Okay, Logan. I can give you Logan, but Joe. Come on.
You
bro.
knew that
You-
man was
you
something
did-
else by the way
Yo,
he was
Kevin
talking.
Gates, when he was like, "You knew what I was before you." You can tell. You start recording this. Let's go to the next question.
no, remember we doing a full.
Oh, we doing for? Oh, and you
Yeah,
can
yeah,
just.
yeah.
All right, let's go.
Perfect.
So, fifth question: what do you think the purpose of their eyes were watching God was?
I feel like the purpose was to comment on how women were treated and like how their rights wasn't as like, the same as men,
Yeah.
and how they can learn how to love themselves and stuff like that. She did it real subtle with the characters and Janine and how she made her character development. Strong character development. Gotta give her that as well. Very strong
It
character
says
development.
it was a beloved 1937 classic, so things
Yeah,
were
bro.
drastically different back
Yeah,
then. to
so-
what they are now.
I feel like a lot of women can appreciate that book, especially those in the time period who read that. She did her thing with that one. I feel like her purpose was to just comment on how things were politically current, how women were treated, and things like that.
Show how things have been developing.
Huh?
And show
Oh,
how things
yeah.
have been developing.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like this book was meant to be an eye opener for women or anyone who read
Power
this book,
women.
to empower them. That
She was Barbie
you
in
know,
19.
even though your love life might not be working out with the men you
Love
encounter,
yourself.
like love yourself.
Love yours. I'm putting that in there.
Because even though, like,
Love
even
yours.
though she was with TK, that didn't end off too well. But like, she still was a strong, independent woman. She still loved herself at the end of the day. Like, it ended off on a very what's the word?
I feel like it ended off with them though.
It was ended off on like a
Modest?
bittersweet,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it was
bittersweet.
bittersweet as like she didn't end up with the love of her life, but she did end up loving somebody, and she's okay.
She did. She
She
got her
can
dream.
be okay with
She
that.
did got her. She did get
Like,
her
she
dream.
lived out her
But it did not
dream.
end right. Her life.
Tragic.
Tragic. Very
Your mom and your
a lot
your
of
mom
things
wasn't
going on.
there.
She could have, like,
Yeah. No.
yeah, but I feel like this book was meant to empower the women back then, and I feel like now if somebody wanted to read it, they'd get the same vibe, the same feeling. Men, women, child, if they forced to read it, they'd understand.
But I feel it's for like we were. No. Go ahead to the next question.
hold on. Let me get my take on this. Real
Right.
quick. I think to me, the purpose of to, like I said, like show or empower women and like kind of send a message to women, and not the only women, but just people of all ages, of all sexes, of all races. Yeah. And then
I feel like it just hit home.
yeah, it just hit home,
Yeah.
especially for black women specifically.
Especially in this time period. So I feel like it hit,
they
it hit different.
And then I think it could also be like, I don't know if it's true at all, but I feel like it would be interesting if it was almost a showcase of how like she grew up in a way. Maybe like
Probably.
Yeah.
it could
I
have
think
been.
so.
Yeah.
It's like that book I was telling you about, The Beautiful
Yeah.
Struggle. Like maybe this was based off her struggles growing up, and she just
Voiced it.
voiced it through Janine and the
Yeah.
characters throughout the book.
Two different characters.
Might never know.
Mhm.
So on to our sixth question. How does the setting influence the theme of the book?
Well, first the time period.
Right.
It was
Yeah.
That's the most important part.
That is the most
Yeah.
important part.
Which is like
You gotta think the setting is mainly she's just in a black community.
Yeah,
like,
she's in a black
they-
in the South
In
too.
the South.
deep in the South.
Deep in the South.
And so
Deep.
considering the time period, I'm gonna say 1937, or maybe a little
Probably
later, a little earlier.
No, look, probably earlier.
Probably a little earlier.
Fresh off.
Fresh off slavery, because you still had grannies talking in slave ebonics and whatnot. Everybody's still speaking the same way too.
Yeah.
So back then the education wasn't
Yeah.
as not as good as it is now.
Because you still had they had to like read and write to try to vote, right? So,
Yeah, like back
a lot of
then you
people
still
that
couldn't really
struggle
vote as a black person. And what
And the
I
theme, what would you say the theme is though?
I feel like the theme of the book is
Because the theme is
challenging norms and overcoming them, like breaking
I feel
societal norms.
The question was, how does the setting affect the theme?
Yeah, and I feel like
Yeah.
the way the setting is back then is giving us
Yeah,
this time
you are right
period.
though. You is
How,
right
like,
though.
Yeah.
You as a black person, especially a black woman, you don't have much say so as a man would have.
Yeah.
You don't have the option to hold higher status power. Like when she was in the town with Joe, even the residents didn't believe a black man could hold a mayor's position or an office in like the post, like a position in the post office, because that's commonly a position back then you'd see a white person have.
So you feel like it is like challenging norms. I feel like
Norms.
the theme is like challenging norms, and it's a lot. I feel like you could take a lot from it though,
Yeah.
but probably I feel like maybe one of the main things.
And another thing could be just the discovery of self-love.
I feel like self-discovery.
And the
That's
growth-
like self-discovery,
growth-
yeah.
Growth within oneself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
growth.
that's really what the theme is. And I feel like with the setting, when she was placed in these communities where they
It
wouldn't
made it
be,
hard. It made
even
it
with the must where they was talking behind her back and all that, and even towards like later in the book where they tried to apologize about beating up Miss Turner brother,
like,
that
yeah.
wasn't really going for that. But yeah, like I feel like it's a lot of different things you take from it. Self-discovery.
Self-discovery, challenging the norms. I think those are the two
Yeah, you really
biggest
take that from
things
that. So
that
the setting definitely does
Yeah.
help
uh-huh.
make that hit different.
It's a challenge Janine in those two.
Yeah.
That's
I
good.
ain't gonna lie, I was calling her Jane the whole book.
Same.
Yeah. So on to our seventh question. What conflicts can only happen in this type of setting? How does it influence the plot and theme?
Well, for one,
Her trying to like
The role of the woman back
right, the
then.
role of the woman back then.
and then
Right.
racism.
Racism.
I mean,
yeah.
it still exists,
still-
but
yeah.
It hit different. Yeah, it hit.
It's much worse and much more like
It's stronger,
evident.
prevalent, and
prevalent.
just
Yeah,
less. Like more people was aware about it, and it was common.
more normalized. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just
Yeah,
normal.
it's normal.
So
Nowadays, it's
yeah,
not accepted.
Right, it's
You
definitely
still
not
still
accepted.
people are doing it, but
Of
you
course.
know it's wrong.
Yeah.
Everyone knows it's wrong.
But back then, nobody cared. You know.
Yeah, and it's like with what was the first one y'all said?
What? Oh, the role.
The traditional role of the woman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how she tried to, Janine tried to.
Yeah, like
You know.
she wasn't. Women weren't.
She tried to do
allowed
things, and
to
it wasn't
do
traditionally.
anything except
Yeah.
cook, clean.
Like
run
even
the
with her
house.
trying to marry different people thought that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, they still
What
treated
they
her as
call
like this
strew,
object.
they called her strew. Like,
Yeah.
It was some, no. What was the word?
What?
It was a word that like they called like it was like prostitute, but
Oh, I'm thinking strumpet.
strumpet.
Yeah.
Strumpet, yeah.
Strumpet. So,
Yeah.
that was one of the main conflicts, and that kind of helped.
Yeah,
The author helped with like more of the theme and the purpose of the book. How they're trying to challenge these.
Back then, having multiple marriages was like a very taboo thing. So if you had,
I know I would say something.
if you had one husband and you like divorced that husband and you ran off with another man, sure, that was fine, but you doing it with another man after that man, that was something unheard of. Very, it was looked down upon. Like you would treat it different. Like you weren't viewed.
Would you have treated her differently?
You know, back then I'd be under the influence of like many men with that type of thinking. So I'm forced to say yes.
I was gonna use a weird choice of words. Let me think. You could say
like the environment around you influences the way you think.
And then on like the racist aspect, of course, like you could tell a lot of N-words was being dropped from white people. I'm talking about hard R, and
Miss Turner, bro.
Nobody would even have like a reaction to it. It was just like a normal thing. Like it was like,
no, they caught each other hard.
Yeah, like
but now the white person saying it, I was like, whoa! It wasn't like that. It's like, well, it's just how it was.
What you gonna do about it?
Like, what can you do?
That's what they called you. It was like, I don't know, bro. It's like a kid. Like they point you out. Like if your whole skin was red.
It's like
You a tomato. You a tomato.
That's just how.
Like, you use a tomato, like the kids, how they just point out. It's kind of like that. But you would.
You ain't know no better.
That's just what it was.
Yeah. So on to the 8th question. How does the dialect of the characters contribute to the understanding of literary elements? So like, how does it affect the setting, the plot, the characterization?
Definitely the characterization.
And the overall feeling of the book.
The feeling of the book definitely sets the mood when you really feel like you're there. They speak how they would normally speak, and you see that when you're reading it, and it's not put in the normal way, so you can kind of feel it more. You can feel more of what the character really meant, like the emotion that they could probably put behind it too when they're talking to each other. Like when Tia was or T was arguing with Jenny, and they was talking. And it was spelled the way it was spelled. It just hit different. It felt
like the way they'd say, I'm, right? Yeah. Nowadays, with our proper education, we spell it I apostrophe M. But the way they'd say things like that would be AH apostrophe M or two was TUH or or.
Wait, so before we continue, like. When you was reading it, was you able to pronounce it right? Like, I knew you could understand what they were saying.
So, like,
I tried to talk like it when I was reading it, and I tried to.
Yeah. So, like, me personally, my family was born and raised in the South. My granddad grew up in the southern part of Georgia, so he speaks somewhat similar to that now. But clearly, we have had an elevation in education compared to back then. So certain words and enunciation would be different. So like, I personally didn't have a struggle with reading it because in my home, it's somewhat similar to the way how we enunciate things. I mean, I might not sound like it myself, but I hear it. I know what somebody's saying when they're saying it to me.
Yeah, me? I struggle. Nah.
Yeah, I struggle.
I'll be lying about
you can't, but it definitely did help contribute to the lyric. First, the feel, mood. Better help me understand the tone of the characters too. And I can't necessarily say I don't know about like purpose or theme, but just overall feel of the book and with the characters and the characterization. I feel like mood, tone, I feel like that. Like, cause you could tell it's a good bit of dialogue in the book.
Yeah, it's a lot of
dialogue. So when they're talking, like how they would, because the whole book, obviously, not even the narration is like that. It's just with the characters. You can better feel. You feel like you feel closer to the character.
I think that's why she put so much effort into like the way they talk and how they were spelling back, and because there was so much dialogue in the book that she had to let like a lot of emotion be shown through the way they were speaking and how they spoke.
Yeah.
So you
because you wouldn't really be able to feel the characters.
Because if you were writing the characters' dialect as the way we'd write dialect now in current books, you wouldn't feel the same way. Like you wouldn't be able to like. try and put yourself in the position of these people
Exactly.
because it's like
But when
I don't really
when
feel
I
as
read
close to them.
Right, when I'm reading like how they would. I think that they would say it. Like, yeah, you just feel, especially when they was arguing. That's really when they hit. Or like when they was arguing about when T was saying how he wanted to use his own money. Like I feel like I just could feel it. I don't
Get
know.
more emotion.
Yeah.
Get more
Yeah.
feeling.
So I think she did a good job with that. Gotta give her props.
Yeah.
And will not give her more points for it, but
My rating's still gonna be the
right,
same.
yeah. My rating's still gonna be the same, but
So
They're good.
before we wrap it up, we'll end up with one final question before we get to the final thoughts. So this question is, how do the characters' actions, thoughts, and conflicts contribute to the mood of the story?
Okay, I got it. So with Jenny, right? And I'm gonna start off with like her and her three husbands' actions, right? I feel like
for sure.
at the beginning of, first of all, they gave us a lot of information at the beginning of the
They
story,
did.
just like the grandma and the mom, and that already
Dumped
set,
a lot of exposition on
that
that.
already set like the tone of the book to be kind of like, I don't want to say empty, but it's kind of like,
I feel like it set the
low,
tone.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, it just set it as like a low and like more like not.
I feel like
guess
it set the
darker
tone in a way like they already showed you the hardship the grandma faced
Yeah.
along with her mother.
Uh-huh.
I feel like that set the tone of what you think. Oh, maybe they might give Janine a drink like
But
that.
Janine,
They made her struggle with two husbands
was
before she
Logan
found
first?
T. Logan was first.
When she originally got with Logan, she was still struggling.
Yeah.
And like the struggle never changed, like from her grandma to her mom to her.
Yeah,
The
bro.
tone honestly might have gotten worse just as you didn't see, because we like had hope that she would turn out different, or like her
Life would be,
her life would
yeah. Because I know her grandma tried. Her grandma really did try.
Yeah.
But Logan was not it.
Yeah,
Logan was
Joe
the
was
one.
not it.
Joe wasn't it.
And then so Logan was bad. Joe was terrible.
Terrible.
And then like the mood is just like it's more of like distraught mood almost. It's like you can tell like she doesn't have any like love in her, and she's just not like doing good in life.
Repeat the question one more time.
The question is, how do the characters' actions, thoughts, and conflicts contribute to the mood of the story?
Right. Okay. Yeah. I feel like going back to the husbands, Joe, with his actions, when she was with him, the mood was terrible. Like,
Yeah,
the
because
mood
it's
was
like every time they were together, it
Yeah.
just felt like
The mood.
something was
Yeah,
happening.
Like
that's
it felt like it gave me a sense of like
Bad.
tension between the two.
Uh-huh.
because Joe, the things that he was doing to her, man, was really bad. Like,
Very
not even let her
controlling.
have her
It's
hair down.
manipulative.
Like-
Manipulative, controlling, bro, just downright.
Greedy almost,
Yeah,
like-
greedy.
Yeah.
Like, you really feel like
Really
that's
greedy.
your wife already, and then now you're like, nah, you can't speak in the meeting.
Yeah.
Don't have your hair down around those other people.
When someone talking the story, don't say nothing to them.
Yeah,
Just sit
bro.
there, do the job. That's it.
So,
And then I feel like with how the mood was set for like the first like I would say like 33% of the book,
nah.
it was further into the book. Than that.
Like, what you think?
With
Are we
the
talking
two-
about from the first two husbands?
I'm talking from the first two husbands. Like how far in the book would you say that was?
45.
45.
I got it.
All right.
Yeah.
50% with the first two husbands.
Well, maybe 50.
Say about half.
Yeah,
Man,
I'll say
it
about-
feels like half.
I'll say about 50% with the first two husbands.
And then you get the
And then you
G,
get to
the
T.
mood.
Then you get to see like
Wait, completely.
the mood was going at like a low. It was going low, and then you get to T and you see a
We
gradual.
go up, but
like,
then you
Yeah.
got to the storm,
Yeah, you
and then
get-
when I got to the storm, I thought she was gonna make them
yeah,
like it wasn't gonna be as
something. I
bad.
thought something was finna.
I thought it was, well, I knew
Like-
something bad was gonna happen, but I thought like a side character might die or something like that. So I thought
Yeah.
it was going, and then it just
It just dropped.
And
You know
even
what-
then
what
with the
T-
storm, I didn't think like he was gonna get rabies from the dog.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought if the storm was just gonna like take T-Cake away, just kill him.
I feel like their actions toward each other, Janine and T definitely helped us improve the mood drastically.
Yeah, like it improved the mood. It gave like a warm
Warm,
feeling every time.
warm
Every time you would read
love.
something,
So,
like
yeah.
itself, they
had
love
genuine
for each
love
other.
for each
She had
other.
love for herself. He had love for himself.
No
Like,
cap.
hope. He had
Hope.
hope. So they didn't really go into that as much, I don't think, as they did with Janine. But you could tell, like, just like with the pear tree analogies and like symbolism that
W
she would
symbols.
use in the book every time she was with Tea Cake.
That childlike feeling.
The childlike feeling, they were playing with the worms or whatever.
Playing
It just gave
chess,
us such
yeah.
like a seraphic feeling to the book when you would read them when they're together. And then it's because of that uprising that when T got rabies and then
Terrible.
he had died.
It created like this
He got
dread,
This
like
dread and
just suspense,
yeah.
like
He got
it-
bit in the face too. Like,
yeah. So when he started turning on Janine, it was like
that was,
it just created like this air of like question, like
yeah.
why,
He started
Yeah.
going
like
crazy.
why, and I
It
feel
was,
like
it was sad, but that's why when we said like towards the end, it was bittersweet because she learned.
she learned what love felt like to love
She got
somebody.
to live her dream.
She
That's
got
what I'm
to
saying.
live
That's
her
how it was
dream.
bittersweet. She got to live her dream, and then I think she said like something like T or T will always be with her in some shape or way. Like, so I feel like even though he did die, I feel like the mood towards the end because we got to understand her thoughts on it. It just made it feel like I said. It gave us closure. So.
Yeah. So now that we're at the end of our review, it's time for the final thoughts of our podcast members. So who wants to go first?
Okay, I'm gonna go first, and I'm gonna give it my real right. I'm gonna give it red.
The real.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. I thought first I'm gonna start off with the pros. I thought it was really good when it came to the symbolism. The symbolism was really good, and the comparisons in the book and the literary devices like the metaphors and similes. I thought some of the dialogue was interesting between the characters. I thought that the conflicts I felt like the conflicts were interesting as well, especially for that time period. Because in my head, I was thinking, okay, what is the conflict going to be?
Yeah.
Every book gotta have its conflict. So I'm trying to figure out what the conflict of this book is going to be, and I thought they gave some unexpected conflicts. Like with the rabies, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
Not at all.
So
Not at all.
yeah, not at all.
Like with the storm, I expected like, oh, he's gonna get like killed by the storm,
Yeah,
the
like
dog,
it's a
especially in the face, get bit by the dog in the face, like oh.
some unexpected just conflicts. But I say those are the pros. The cons is it's a slow burn. It's not gonna be it's not necessarily gonna be that type of read. Not all the dialogue is interesting. Sometimes the dialogue is just there to, you know what I'm saying?
It's just a normal
It's a
conversation.
normal conversation. A lot of it is character development, but that's a pro though. It has good character development, but for the con, it can be boring though to get to the peak of the character development where you can see it. You in the mud through a half the book. I say you in the mud for like 80% of the book. So, I mean, for those reasons, it feels slow. It was not that interesting at first, and it was hard to see the vision.
She made it work.
She made it work. I'm gonna be real. I would never pick up this book if I was in the library. Like if I was in the library, I wanted a book to read. I wouldn't pick this one up. But I do think it was important for this time period and for like anybody who could read it to see. Like I said, when you get to the peak of the character development, it's great, bro. You can really see it. And you can see the true message of it. So I think I can give it a 6 out of 10 because I think the message is really good and powerful, and I feel like she did a good way of conveying that. Just me personally, narrative wise, it's not my type of story.
Yeah.
But the love towards the end, that was my favorite part of the book. I can't give it that. The moments, that warm feeling, I kept feeling that oxytocin, bro. I felt it from the book. So I'll give it a 6. Yeah, I give it a 6 out of 10.
Considering my taste in books, I do like books made by fellow black authors, right? Considering I've read books like On the Beautiful Struggle by Ta-Nehisi Coates and some of his other works, but this book is a slow burn in my eyes. Like the first couple of chapters, I was struggling to like keep myself interested, keep myself entertained.
That was like the first 8-10 for me, man.
And it was like, it was like, where are we going with this book right now? I'm just seeing.
Where are we going? That's what I was saying.
I'm just seeing a woman being put in these situations that
situations
aren't good for her. I like.
Well, okay, I'm gonna stop you right there. Have you seen The Pursuit of Happiness?
I don't think so.
I've seen it.
And where he just kept getting hit with roadblock.
Oh, with Will Smith.
Yeah.
Okay, I know.
But with that, it was like for some reason I just knew he was gonna win, and then so it
This
was,
one right
it was like
here.
this.
I didn't.
I wasn't sure.
I couldn't see the light.
I thought it was over with. I thought it was gonna be dark.
But it started
like
her grandma got raped, and her mom got raped, and here she is. Now she forced to marry this dude. She don't like him. She married another dude. He just overbearing, controlling, manipulative. I'm like, bro, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Bro, like, you know what I'm saying? But that was slowly building character. But like I said, slow. But you can go back to
Well, like besides like the slow burning part, it did begin to pick up in the later half of the book, and I felt like I could understand then the overall characterization of who Janine was supposed to become as a woman. And it hit me hard when the storm came, and I was expecting like one of them to like just outright just die because the storm just perished. The whole dog with rabies thing that caught me off guard, especially with Tewwg getting like bit in the face.
Very plot twist.
I was like, okay, where did this rabies dog come from? Why is he getting bit, and how is it gonna affect their relationship? And then I was taken to the fact that back then there was no cure for rabies. If you had rabies, you were destined to just perish.
What are the symptoms of rabies? You really can't like snap out of it.
No, you just go crazy. Like you just lose yourself.
Because like how the animals is great. Rabies just spreads through animals.
Bro,
And it's like
you gone. Like,
see,
there's
like,
nothing you can do.
Be like foaming from
There's
the animals,
nothing you
be, like,
can do.
foaming from the mouth, and yeah, they got rabies. Like
It's over with.
that's what we can do later.
Yeah, you can do the exact same thing.
Exact same
And
thing.
you're over with. Like
We're
you're done.
capable.
So like overall, I feel like this book it's informative. Like I want to say informative. It's like what's the word?
It's informative about the time period.
It is informative about the time period, but it's very eye opening to the struggles back then,
That's what I'm saying.
and it's empowering to anybody that reads this book.
Barbie. This is Barbie right there.
The time period is Barbie.
Pretty much like
Encourages you to find love within yourself.
peace within yourself.
Yeah, peace, self-discovery.
Self-discovery with that
So
pear trip.
my rating overall is about 6.8 out of 10.
I thought he was about to cook it 3.
Because like it's a very important book. It's just not my cup of tea.
Not my cup of tea.
It's not my cup
I
of
could
tea.
give it a 5, but I feel like she cooked. She
Yeah,
really
she did her
It
job
was just
with
the
the book.
narrative.
It
I
was
didn't like
it's
it.
just not myself.
Yeah.
All right,
So
this is it. He said we can do it.
my rating, like
He said we capable.
when I first started reading the book, like I was saying, it's a slow burn. It was kind of boring.
Like slow
And then-
cook.
Yeah, slow, very slow.
Slow.
Very slow.
Like,
Sort of
she
slow.
had like she was baking at
Yeah.
200. It wasn't no like number 350.
Yeah,
Like,
no, probably 100 degrees.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie.
The store wasn't even on.
All right, that's it. Stove was
she
not
didn't
on.
even have a look. But anyways,
Stove was not on for like first 10 chapters.
it was like really once near the end of her relationship with Joe is when
That's
I
when
started
it's
to, like,
needed, that's
when
what
I
I'm
started to enjoy the book a lot more.
It took a minute though because they had to meet and get that
Yeah.
chemistry, but when you could feel it through the book.
And then she definitely like her details and like the way she like explained situations, what was going on, the feelings.
Definitely.
with
The imagery, you
characters,
think?
The imagery, yeah, the imagery. It just made it so much
The imagery,
more
the symbolism,
interesting to me.
and the character development when they hit his peak. Yeah.
Yeah, like after like Tea Cake, once that happened, like it was a lot more. I could enjoy the book.
Yeah.
And there were still a few times with the dialogue that I wasn't really like feeling it, but I was definitely appreciating like her efforts and ability to
He's a great author.
ability to like show what she wants to give the message that she wants to give, and to like give like to show all the emotions, or to show what the character's going through, how they're feeling, and everything that's going on. So overall, my rating, like y'all were saying, it's not my cup of tea, it's not my cup of coffee. Ice is not gonna be in my cup, right? but
I don't want that in my cup.
but respectfully, like I did enjoy.
You're right, you
a
appreciate
few-
what you
I
did,
appreciate
right?
I did enjoy a few parts of the book,
Right.
so I'm gonna give it a 5.5.
Hopefully in the future, if we do end up picking up another book,
It's not
and
this
it's
one.
by this same author, that it's
Different narrative.
a different narrative, a little bit more eye catching,
Enticing.
It's like
I just knew he was like, but overall.
it's like when I took a bite out of this book, so
I like
so
the
and
taste,
so
right.
I was like,
I
I
taste,
spat
but
it
still
out.
swallow. Look,
Yeah,
nah,
it was-
see,
it was
I like
still-
the taste, but I still swallow.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
I took it in.
You know,
I
like
took it in.
when we first were assigned this book,
I gave it a pat on the back. Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie to you. When we first got assigned this book,
Oh, I
for the
didn't even
break,
want to touch it.
I opened it up first Saturday of the break. I read it to chapter 4. I left the book on my table, opened on chapter 4. I ain't touched the book for the rest of the break.
Yeah.
I ain't touched it. It just sat there looking at me. I looked at it. I continued on with my day.
This book is
But yeah, it's that's
It's some.
I'm glad I
Y'all
read
tell
it.
us. Y'all class. I'm gonna try to give us the honest.
Y'all tell us
Be
what y'all
honest,
thought.
bro.
Be honest with the book. Be honest with yourself.
Right, don't let Dr. Flowers look at you like.
Be real. Be
Look
real.
at the side eye and like, nah.
Be real, like.
Be real.
I give it a 6 only because I can appreciate what she did, but a 5 is probably
And
the
I
most
know,
honest.
I know a few of y'all ain't even read the book for us. So
Those YouTube summaries, looking it up on the
video,
internet.
it's
We know
too
what
slow.
we know your
It's too
game.
slow. Spark notes, look, we know what y'all be doing.
We know y'all game. We are familiar with
And I
y'all.
wouldn't be mad at you, bro. The
Right.
book was slow.
But that concludes
That concludes the Ladies and Gentlemen podcast.
and we hope to see y'all again in
Yeah,
part 2.
hopefully we
Next
review
book.
a better book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we might hit up Lord of the Rings.
Maybe
Yeah.
Next
Oh,
time.
pass me the water. Pass me the water. Also, this podcast is
Sponsored by
it's
Essentia.
sponsored by Essentia, bro.
Essentia.
So
Great
if
water.
you ever your mouth get dry, you read you a book like this. It's slow.
Look, you reading? I'm
You
thirsty.
like right?
Thirsty.
Hold on.
Thirsty.
Boom. You like?
Give me a little,
Get you a sip.
Take
Hold
a
on.
swig. There we go.
like it's just
Yeah.
So yeah, that was their eyes were watching God analysis right there, or just a breakdown of the book. Dr. Flowers, thank you for giving us this book.
for giving us the opportunity.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have read this. If,
I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
if I seen it, but I'm kind of.
It's
I'm
good.
glad I did. I'm glad I did.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm glad I did.
It was bro. I definitely did not want to touch it. But yeah,
But we appreciate
We
y'all
appreciate-
listening.
right.
And hope you have a good day.
Right, yeah. Let's go ahead. Let's put this book down.
Let's wrap it up.